Trump's policies towards India can only be described as cutting our nose to spite our face. And this is doing real and lasting damage to the strategic trust and mutual understanding between our two countries. Because let me be clear, being a coercive partner has a cost. And this poster is worth 1,000 words. You do not get a Nobel Peace Prize by driving U.S. strategic partners into the arms of our adversaries. We must move with incredible urgency to mitigate the damage that this administration has done to the U.S.-India partnership and return to the cooperation that is essential to U.S. prosperity, security, and global leadership. Congress understands the stake of this relationship on a bipartisan basis. When Trump took office at the beginning of this year, the Biden administration handed him a bilateral relationship at the height of its strength. A revitalized Quad, a budding defense tech partnership, and a trusted supply chain partner. These were hard-earned accomplishments and the product of strategic discipline from our two countries. And then what happened? Flush, flush, flush down the toilet, the capital that Americans have built over decades in service of Trump's personal grievances and at the expense of our national interests. And unless he changes course, Trump will be the American president that lost India, or more accurately, that chased India away, while revitalizing the Russian Empire, while breaking up the transatlantic alliance, and menacing Latin America. That is not a legacy any president should be excited about having. When the history books are written about where Trump's antagonism towards India began, they will point to something that has nothing to do with our long-term strategic interests, his personal obsession with a Nobel Peace Prize. While that is laughable, the harm that it will cause is not. Singling out India for 50% tariffs, one of the highest rates imposed on any country, has effectively derailed leader-level meetings between our two countries. Yet the 25% tariff rate that has attributed to India's imports of Russian oil look pretty pointless when Steve Witkoff is striking backroom deals with Putin advisors to sell out Ukraine in exchange for some business investment. There have been real strategic costs to this protracted trade negotiation. The annual Quad Leaders Summit, one of the most important unity-projecting platforms for the U.S. and our Indo-Pacific partners, has been indefinitely postponed. This has sent a dangerous signal to our allies and the PRC about the U.S. withdrawal from our most pressing interests on the world stage. And beyond tariffs, Trump has also attacked the people-to-people ties between the U.S. and India. The $100,000 fee on H-1B visas, 70% of which are held by Indians, is a rebuke of the incredible contributions Indians have made to science, technology, medicine, and arts in the United States. Trump's policies towards India can only be described as cutting our nose to spite our face. And this is doing real and lasting damage to the strategic trust and mutual understanding between our two countries. Because let me be clear, being a coercive partner has a cost. And this poster is worth 1,000 words. You do not get a Nobel Peace Prize by driving U.S. strategic partners into the arms of our adversaries. We must move with incredible urgency to mitigate the damage that this administration has done to the U.S.-India partnership and return to the cooperation that is essential to U.S. prosperity, security, and global leadership. Congress understands the stake of this relationship on a bipartisan basis. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to just say that Republicans have endured a rather lopsided relationship with Donald Trump this year, dare I say abusive. So I hope you will consider this a Republican intervention. And for the record, these are not attacks, they are just facts. On health care, Republicans cut $1 trillion from Medicaid with their big, ugly bill, threatening their own vulnerable constituents. When 3/4 of Medicaid enrollees are in red states and rural hospitals across this country are struggling to stay open. Republicans then shut down the government to avoid a vote on extending ACA subsidies, only for Trump to later come out in support of extending these subsidies. A recent Navigator poll shows that Americans blame Trump and congressional Republicans for rising health care premiums by a 26-point margin. And surprise, surprise, Americans also overwhelmingly blame Republicans for the shutdown. I see tread marks everywhere. Redistricting. The drama started when Trump called Greg Abbott and demanded 5 more Republican seats in Texas, triggering California's redistricting effort that could cost California Republicans 5 seats. It is funny how my Republican colleagues remain silent when Texas, Ohio, Missouri, and North Carolina gerrymander, but throw a tantrum when California punches back. The chip deal, and I don't mean nachos or potatoes, I mean the AI computing national security kind. For years, my China hawk Republicans warned about the competition with the CCP, only for Trump to ignore them and greenlight NVIDIA H200 chip sales to China in exchange for a 25% fee. What happened to tough on China, y'all? Then the boat strikes. Republicans have abdicated their constitutional war powers authority, allowing the Trump administration to carry out extrajudicial killings off the coast of Venezuela under the guise of stopping drug trafficking. And meanwhile, Trump just pardoned the president of Honduras, who was convicted of helping to move 400 tons of cocaine into the United States. So you need to square the circle for me, y'all. Please do it. Now, the deficit. Republicans who call themselves fiscal hawks stayed true to President Trump and got rewarded with a $2 trillion added to the national debt, bringing us to a whopping $38 trillion. So how many zeros is in that number? Far too many for Americans to afford. Then there was the mighty whiplash of the Epstein files. Trump and Republicans spent an entire year trying to block the release of the Epstein files, only for Trump to reverse course at the last minute when he realized the release was inevitable. Then tariffs and affordability. For a full year, Republicans said nothing while Trump rolled out illegal, arbitrary, chaotic tariffs that raised prices across the board. And in just 8 months of Trump 2.0, the average American household spends $700 more on basic necessities. This season's most popular holiday gifts are up 26% since last year. And during the affordability crisis, Trump banned the word affordability from Republicans' vocabulary. But affordability is still in the dictionary, and it is still on people's minds. The economy is an A+++ hot mess. And lastly, farmers. Earlier this year, Republicans watched quietly as Trump destroyed USAID, an agency that bought crops from American farmers, many of whom backed Trump and the Republicans in 24. And when beef costs reached record highs in October, they watched again as Trump proposed buying beef from Argentina rather than American farmers. Last month, Republicans forced a vote denouncing the horrors of socialism. This week, they're applauding Trump for using it to bail out the farmers that his administration failed. Please consider this an intervention and get out of this lopsided relationship now. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I yield back.